Saga-Wakwazasta and the rest of the Seaway Valley, good morning and welcome to a live edition of CKON Wednesday to Watala. We remind you views and opinions expressed by our guests and our callers during Dead to Watala, not necessarily those of 97.3 CKON or the Akwesasne Communication Society. Phone lines are open if you have any questions about today's topic, 518-358-3427, 613-575-2101. You can email front desk at CKONFM.com. And we also have the Instagram, we have Facebook, we have our website, CKONFM.com. And you can download any type of radio listening app from the App Store or Google Play, and you'll be able to listen to CKON on your device wherever you go. So with that, we've got two guests joining us today, and this is part of our series having to do with our leadership, emergency officials, healthcare that we've done for the last few programs. And today we're going to be talking with Siverage's Mohawk Tribes Health Services Mental Health Department with officials talking about coping with the state of emergency. And the aim of today's program is to help people deal with the mental or emotional stress that families may be experiencing. And we hope to be able to provide some helpful advice for parents, teens, and children, courtesy of our professionals that are with us this morning. So we invite to the program right now Christine Venery, LCSW, Siverage's Mohawk Tribal Mental Health Director, and also Waheinhawi Hall, and she is LCSW as well, Siverage's Mohawk Tribes Child and Youth Clinic Coordinator. So with that, we'll say both Sago and welcome to Christine and Waheinhawi. Sago and welcome.
Sago.
It's a pleasure to be able to have you ladies here today to talk to that topic, of course, dealing with the state of emergency and coping with the state of emergency, because everything that we're doing now is totally different than what we've been doing with regards to even last week. We've made changes to things that we're doing, especially with having our children with us all day long, all night long, and all the time. So, when we really sit back and think about it, our kids spent more time with their teachers than they did with their families. So we're seeing a reverse there, and it's thrown at you just like that. At least with summer, you get to prepare. And you get to put some things in place, but we can't do that right now. And we're all kind of caught off guard with what to do with our families when we're all together all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we'll get started with Christine as Director of the Mental Health Program for Siverage's Mohawk Health Services. Sagon, welcome.
Thank you, Nuawa. I just want to tell about what we're doing for services at this point in time here at the Health Services for Mental Health. So we've been reaching out to anyone who has an upcoming appointment to discuss their options for services, and we're able to provide tele-mental health. So that's telephone or video chat services, and we're trying to get that together quickly so that can be provided to the community. And I just want to let anyone who needs services, who needs just to talk, that they can call us. We're there. We're willing to talk to folks, so they can just call 358-3145.
Okay.
And that goes straight to the mental health department.
Perfect. So 518-358-3145 will get you right through to the mental health department. So I know that when we talk about our families, we have some extended families as well, where we've got, possibility of more people living with us during this actual COVID-19 pandemic. So I guess we'll likely talk about that as a family unit as well. But I know with our kids, we have Waheinhawi, who is with us today. Waheinhawi Hall is LCSW, Siverage's Mohawk Tribes Child and Youth Clinic Coordinator. So you deal with the kids, and a lot of people might feel like they don't know what's going on. They're just little. And that's not the case at all, right?
Not at all. Children are very aware of what's happening, and even though we may do our best to shield them from the news or social media or conversations, they're very aware. Kids were having conversations about this as it was developing in schools, and I know in working in the schools as well as having my own kids, they were coming home with information that I wouldn't have shared with them personally that was inducing fear and oftentimes panic.
Yeah, because that's what we're trying to do as well, along with trying to flatten that curve, is to try and assure people that we will take care of one another, that we will get through it. And sometimes that's really hard because those bouts of anxiety can come at any time because it kind of bubbles up, right? And then you'll have to deal with it, kind of thing. So, Christine, what are some things that are, our parents and our adults can really look at doing, maybe to put our focus outside of the anxiety that this is causing?
Well, I think it's important to know that we do have fear, and it's normal to feel anxious, but to try to counteract that with your own resiliencies and coping skills.
Okay.
In terms of parents talking to children, find out what they know first, and then ask them if they have any questions, and then try to give them the information that they need to know at their age level. And just make sure you're reassuring them that they're safe, secure, that you'll be able to help them get through this.
Yeah.
So it means for the caregivers, parents, even people who are caring for elderly, or both, sometimes some of us are caring for elderly as well as our children.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to take care of yourself so that you can have a full cup to be able to help the others. And we can talk about some of those ways of self-care, but I think for everyone, keeping a routine is very important. Keeping a good sleep schedule, making sure you're hydrating, eating, and then just finding those times and moments where you can enjoy the time you have together. So pulling out the crossword puzzles or jigsaw puzzles or board games or card games, or, getting, if you're home with your children, trying to focus on having fun as well.
I know we're talking about coping with the state of emergency and discussing things as we go through the program today, some useful tips, or maybe just even the attention that we're not all okay, that we are, nervous, and we do have anxiety, and we do have, things that might be compounded from the situation that we now find ourselves in with the self-isolation or the social distancing, especially when it comes to losing a loved one, because everything has been thrown into disarray with regards to even our mourning and our grieving.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're going to have to deal with that as well. Changes the way that the funeral directors and funeral homes having to handle situations. And we as a Mohawk people like to gather. We like to come together. We like to help. We like to comfort. We like to feed people. We like to do all these things. And it's kind of like we have our hands behind our backs. And
Yes.
we're not able to do that. So for people that are going through that, perhaps, we have lost a couple of our loved ones here in the community in the last week and a half or so. And how do we deal with that?
Well, I think what you can do in terms of spiritual, rituals or practices is, I know you could smudge or burn tobacco on your own.
Yep.
You could do those kind of rituals on your own. I know if you are of a faith community, many churches are streaming, masses or other ways of worshiping. I mean, that's the one thing that I'm thankful for, is the technology that we have, that we can use all these things to stay in contact with people even though we're not in contact.
Yeah.
So Zoom meetings or Zoom, get-togethers if you have that technology, even just talking on the phone can be incredibly important.
Yeah.
Especially in these times. I don't know if Howie has other suggestions, but
sure. Looking at the kids as well.
I think one of the most important pieces during this time, with social isolation being so encouraged, obviously for prevention measures, and that's part of what I think is important to share with kids and families also, is yes, we are having to be isolated. Yes, we can't spend time with people, but that's prevention, right? That is something we do have some amount of control over, is being able to keep ourselves healthy. But in isolating, I think for most people, we're social creatures, and like you said, in our communities, we really do enjoy gathering, and whether it's for a wake or for celebrations or whatever it may be, we spend a lot of time together, and being able to find ways to still be connected. I know with some people I know that have family members that are in old age homes, they're going to the windows and they're, talking to them through the windows, or they're doing video calls, or I have kids that I know that are doing messenger video calls with their friends, and they're spending time still having that, face-to-face type contact, although it's distanced a little bit. So really strongly encouraging, whether it's through the grieving process or just trying to manage anxiety and keep some level of normalcy during all of this, being able to maintain those relationships.
Yeah. Looking at stress, what are some signs that somebody is really stressed, Christine?
So some of the signs of stress would be
I know that people have a hard time getting focused.
Right. I'm under stress right now. So I am having trouble focusing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Feeling, either not able to sleep or wanting to sleep too much, not wanting to eat or wanting to eat too much. You may want to use substances, alcohol or drugs. We would encourage people to refrain. That won't help. It may help short term, but not in the long term.
Yeah.
Other signs of stress would be, the physical kind of symptoms you may have, like having a panic attack or trouble breathing, feeling like your chest is really heavy. And it's important to try to differentiate that between stress, anxiety, versus a physical symptom.
Yeah. I know a lot of times and even kids, they have a bellyache. Mm-hmm. We think, they probably just have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Okay, well, no, that can build as well as coming through as anxiety, can it?
Absolutely. So some of the physical symptoms of more anxiety than just stress, because I think stress is a common reaction that everybody has in life. And I think when it's compounded and builds up is when it starts to progress into more of anxiety. And for a lot of kids that we work with that are experiencing higher levels of stress and anxiety, they get the physical symptoms. Their body is under a lot of stress with all of the mental and emotional kind of challenges that they're going through. And oftentimes that comes out as, I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to leave the house, or I feel sick, or sometimes actually getting sick. Sometimes just having random body aches, so it definitely comes through in these physical ways for kids.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about coping with the state of emergency. And one of the things that we can recommend to people, of course, is, for the first few days, we were watching social media all the time, refreshing our pages, sharing information. And now it's like people need a break from that. So what are some ideas of, I guess, time, when you're spending time, things that they can do? I know for one of our community members, they started a nice group, Build a Fort. So they had families participate in that, which was great. All ages. And they had to have a duda, I think, in one of their videos or their photos of their fort. But just things that are very creative, where we could get everybody involved that lives in our home, and we can share that. Because a lot of times that's what we do with social media, is share things. And it's hard to know what to share now, and to come up with ideas for people to do that and to connect with others. So looking at that as an example, I know some other ones have done, Yagwazatse Youth Fitness has done like an obstacle course kind of deal outside.
Yep.
So again, we're getting that exercise because we've seen the gyms have to close. So now what are we going to do? Because those provide those positive endorphins when you work out, and people that are used to that.
Right, exactly. I think it is important to figure out how much time you're going to spend watching the news or watching your social media, and to try to schedule that in so you're not looking at it all the time. That's especially with anyone. I mean, I think that's important to monitor your own anxiety level. You need to get knowledge, too, from reputable places like the CDC or, in Canada, their Department of Health, to make sure you're getting the right information. And just to be creative. So there's lots of, I was just looking at Pinterest of ways, what ways to spend your time.
Yeah.
I know I did a lot of spring cleaning this past weekend, washing all my curtains and, washing windows. I mean, I think you have to look at what you can control and what you can do.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the biggest part of all of this, right? Is that we kind of feel like we don't have control over a lot of things.
Right. Yes.
So that kicks in the stress and the anxiety and the panic and things of that nature. So if someone were to have an anxiety attack right now, panic attack, what would you recommend they utilize as for coping tools? Like if you were to walk me through right now, say I called you and I said, listen, Christine, I'm having a panic attack. So how would you deal with me?
I would just ask you to just sit down, relax, just focus on your breath.
Okay.
Taking a breath in and a breath out.
Okay.
And just trying to focus on breathing out any kind of worries or troubles. Another tip is to focus on breathing, one on your senses. So it's using your senses. So to touch 2 things, and to look at 3 things, and to maybe smell 1 thing. What's the other?
Listening. One? And then taste. So it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding type exercise, and it doesn't have to be in any particular order. You can do one of everything. The whole point is just to ground you back into this moment. Another really effective tool for managing panic attacks or high levels of anxiety even is having a frozen object or a really cold object and placing it on your neck or on the back of your neck or your wrist. Physiologically, it calms your body down. It slows your heart rate down. It's actually been proven to be incredibly effective.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So an ice cube.
And even just taking a walk, just taking a walk outside and breathing fresh air and, and telling yourself it will be okay.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about coping with the state of emergency, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that we do have mental health officials at Sibridge's Mohawk Health Services. You have to call 518-358-3145, 518-358-3145. One of the other coping mechanisms that people utilize if they have issues with substance abuse are AA meetings, NA meetings, CODA meetings, the Al-Anon meetings. Those things have stopped because we can't gather. Are you having to deal with more individuals that utilize those as one of their coping tools to get through daily life?
I think that at this point, even though the actual gatherings, the physical gatherings for those meetings have stopped, there are Zoom meetings now, actually.
Okay.
So it can be actually easier to go to more meetings now. They're virtual, so it doesn't have the same effect as having the face-to-face contact, but it is still a meeting where you can still share, you can still see other people's responses and get their feedback. And so there are other resources out there. Again, I think that even those types of programs are understanding the value in what they have to offer and support that they have for people. And so being able to help people understand, even though we can't do the face-to-face, there are other platforms that they're still operating on.
Excellent. Very good.
And the Alcohol and Chemical Dependency Department is open for calls. So if you are struggling with those issues, you can call the same number, 518-358-3141, 3145, and there's staff there available to speak with you as well.
Okay. I know that we wanted to add in as well. Both of you are working from the Syracuse Mohawk Health Services, the mental health department. I'd also like to pass this along. MCA's Holistic Health and Wellness Program. They do have a 24-hour crisis hotline. It's 1-844-244-1060. Again, that number 1-844-244-1060. And the line is actually answered by MCA's Holistic Health and Wellness professionals. That doesn't put you through to somebody in Toronto you've never spoken to in your life. So we're hopefully going to get some officials from Holistic Health and Wellness for the mental health aspect of it, or addictions and things like that, on Didawatala as part of our series that we're doing, aimed at trying to provide information and comfort and, listing of resources that we have and things that are still open and available to us. Mm-hmm. We always want to make sure that we're reminding all of our listeners, never present yourself at any of our clinics, health facilities, medical buildings, hospitals. If you are sick, please call ahead. They will do a screening for you, and they will prepare their staff and themselves if you need to come in. So please keep that in mind. Waheinhawi?
One more thing I wanted to add is with the kids and having them be home, and you had mentioned how that is a challenge for a lot of us as parents. We're not used to having this much time with them. Usually we can send them off to friends or have them go to sports, and so with this much time, one of the most important things being suggested across the board by professionals is having a consistent schedule. So being able to have them get up at the same time, and even if it's not 7 or 7:30 like they would normally, you can have them be up by 8:30, get them breakfast and then have a structured day. That's really important at this point for kids to have a consistent schedule. And the Boys and Girls Club, actually, the Akwesasne Boys and Girls Club on their Facebook page has a suggested schedule, which is really great. And in there is playtime, is academic time, because all of the schools have sent home academic material to be done during this time.
Yeah.
Being able to give them time outside. Like you said, if it's too cold outside, then there's opportunities for activities inside. I had a friend that created the obstacle course in her home with just random objects and jumping over things and under them and doing it a couple times around. So there's ways to still be creative. I think that during this time, being able to give them, like I said, that sense of they know what's coming. Okay, we're going to have lunch at 12, we're going to 1 o'clock, we're going outside, and even if it's snowing, we're going to go for a walk. We may not be out long, but that fresh air is so important. And then the consistent bedtime as well. One of the things I often stress with parents in working with them is limiting their time on technology, and that very much applies during this time as well. Being able to help them to read books. Hey, you got that Lego set for Christmas, let's take some time and put it together. And being able to see it as parents as a time where now we're home, let's make this time count. Let's, do this board game together that they've been asking me about. Let's, clean their room together. It's not always fun, but if you're going to be home, it might as well make your environment comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. We know, someone's sitting there thinking, okay, well, my kid's not going to listen to me to do that. And Waheinhawi, I know that you probably have tried to reinforce that with parents, is even if your kid pretends he doesn't like it or puts up a fight, that they do, it does calm them because they know what's happening next is the whole idea of that,
absolutely.
Right?
It's predictable, and that way they have some sense of knowing, okay, this is what's going to be happening today. And part of what we strongly encourage parents when we work with them too is to have children earn things. So instead of taking away technology or phones as a consequence, having them earn that. So if they want their time on technology today, here's how you earn a half an hour increment, and here's how you can earn up to 2.5 hours if that's their limit. But you can earn it in half an hour increments by doing your chores, by doing your reading time, by going outside. And that way it's, again, something that the children know that they can work towards. And it's not such a punitive kind of system.
Yeah. And looking at the different ages, I guess, for the little guys and gals who might be able to operate it on their own, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, how much screen time should we be allowing our kids? I know this is probably differs from one professional to another. What's your thoughts on it, Waheinhawi?
For parents that I work with, when their kids are between the ages of, I'd say maybe pre-K and end of elementary school, I usually suggest anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on the kid, depending on when they come in to talk with me, and if the kid is already at 3 hours, then it's going to be really tough to cut them back to 1.5. So being able to help them cut it down into smaller increments even. So instead of having them sit for a whole 3 hours in front of the TV, okay, you can do a half an hour, or if you're watching a video, you can watch that one video and then you're going to get up and you're going to move around. So it really kind of varies depending on, for some families, they don't have many other ideas or options for how to occupy their kids. And so that might be, someone's form of a babysitter. If you're working from home and you're having to keep your kids occupied, then that might be all you have. So it's really hard to say. And like Christine had mentioned, we're available to troubleshoot and chat with people if they have questions about what's appropriate, what's not. Is this too much? How can I start to cut back if necessary?
Okay. Christine, looking at people's relationships, that's another thing where we might not have spent a lot of time with our spouse.
Right.
Because of work or because of other, responsibilities, and all of a sudden we're shoved back together, and we have to, get through this together as a family. But we know that things come up, and one of the big ones, of course, that we could talk about is financial.
Right.
When it comes to what's happening with our family, how much, money do we have set aside, or how much money do we have until, the next payday, things like that. So, Christine, have you had to deal with relationships for the adults and parents and guardians together?
Well, we do family and couples work, and in terms of what's been happening in this past week, not yet, but I think it's something that's going to be an issue for sure. In terms of when you are anxious too, you can be more irritable and angry. So that can affect your relationships. And then the financial stress can be very difficult. And I guess I would just, encourage couples, families, partners, just to have open communication and try to just be gentle with each other at this point in time, because it is a stressful time.
Yeah.
And that can be hard. But
for sure.
If you need guidance, give us a call for sure.
All right. I know that another item that we're requesting for people is that social distancing. So how do we talk to someone that is not respecting the social distancing aspect of it, say for our family or say for our home, and you don't want people to come over, but you're afraid to tell them, and how does all of that work?
I would just encourage them to reconsider, get the facts about their concerns about social distancing, and know that it's more for the common good to flatten that curve, to give them the facts about why this is important. It's not because you don't like them or don't want them around. It's more because this is what we need to do as a society.
Okay. And for individuals that might have that caretaking role, how do we fulfill that without, breaking those social distance barriers? How do we continue to take care of a loved one if we're trying to self-isolate? How does all of that work?
Right. I think Howie spoke a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe using the phone to checking in, asking if they need their medications refilled, or any upcoming appointments that they may be having, how to, negotiate all that and figure out what's needed and what's not. Providing just that support, even visiting through the window, like Howie was talking about.
Yeah, they've done a nice job with that at Yakisoto, with those videos that they've been able to set up with loved ones and outside the windows as well. So it's great to see there. So talking about coping with the state of emergency, and looking at maybe some of our healthcare providers and what they can do to kind of handle the situation and the stress that comes along with them having to be at work.
Right, that's a difficult situation too as well, because you're worried about your family, and but you're also wanting to take care of the community. So it's really important for us as those kind of essential workers to make sure we're really taking good care of ourselves, to get good sleep, to talk to our colleagues to reach out, to stay informed. Those same kind of tips for managing anxiety. We're human as well. And so, minimizing your time looking at the news and,
making sure that we're still getting good sleep, that we're eating healthy foods and that we're being able to get outside. A couple of the therapists that are in the office with me right now, we've talked about on our lunch breaks, once it starts to get a little bit nicer out, being able to go for walks or go for, jogs if possible. And, that's like, of course, assuming things aren't going to change even more in terms of, who's in our office and working telemental health from home versus actually there. But we're trying our best to kind of come together as staff that are still working to support each other and staying in contact outside and just really trying to rally together during this.
Perfect. So is there anything else you guys wanted to add that we haven't touched on for today's program?
I guess I just want to make sure that anyone who has been receiving services from us, that we are trying to reach out to each and every one of you about your upcoming appointments. Dr. Wolf, our psychiatrist, will be here as usual. And if you do need med refills, to call ahead and let us know so we can get that together for you, because we don't want anyone going out without their medication.
Yeah.
And just anyone who isn't in our services, just call us and we can be there to set up a phone or a video chat appointment. We're here.
Excellent.
I guess is the message we want to give.
Nice. Waheinhawi, anything from you?
I think one of the biggest pieces that I'm trying to stress to families as well as friends is to really do your best to focus on being here in this moment. I think that on any other day in our lives, we couldn't have predicted the future either, just like we can't right now. And being able to focus on what we do have control over, like we talked about, which is our schedules, our routines. If we have children or family members at home, being able to do our best to kind of not focus on the panic and the fear, but focus on the positive stuff we have in our lives. I know a big part of our culture is giving thanks in the morning and being able to start doing some of those basic pieces that kind of reconnect us to not only our families, but to overall the culture and the nature, and just kind of grounding us and really focusing on the positives we have. We're going to focus on the negatives and we're going to be overwhelmed and anxious and really struggle. But there's a lot that we still do have to be grateful for.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, both of you, very much for being there for our community and for being here today to provide those helpful tips, and just to, even if it was just to let people know that we're stressed too, and that we're, we recognize that fact, and, a couple of tips and ideas for people to implement into their homes. The big one there is routine for everybody,
Yes.
some kind of structure, something that the adults, the parents, the guardians, the caregivers, something that you can control with regards to feeling like you don't have any control versus that. So
Right.
it's it can be quite overwhelming, but we want people to know they're not alone, and we'll get through this together.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, thank you both very much. Appreciate it, and we'll talk with you soon.
Yawa.
Nyawa.
Yo, 97.3 CKON from the heart of Akwesasne. We will wrap things up for you on this Monday. The original air day of the program live is Monday, March 23rd, 2020. And we'd like to remind you that views and opinions expressed by our guests and our callers during Didawatala, not necessarily those of 97.3 CKON or the Akwesasne Communication Society. And our guests today have included Christine Venery, LCSW, Siverages Mohawk Mental Health Director, and also Waheinhawi Hall, LCSW, Siverages Mohawk Tribe's Child and Youth Clinic Coordinator. And both women on the program today to talk about coping with the state of emergency. The aim of the program was to help people deal with the mental or emotional stress that families may be experiencing, and hope to provide some helpful advice to parents, teens, and children. So once again, the phone number for Siverages Mohawk Health Services Mental Health Program is 518-358-3145. That's the direct line, 518-358-3145. 3145. And also for our friends at MCA's Holistic Health and Wellness Program, they've got a 24-hour crisis hotline at 1-844-244-1060. 1-844-244-1060. And that line is actually answered by MCA's Holistic Health and Wellness professionals, not someone in Toronto. So we hope to get officials from MCA's Holistic Health and Wellness Program on Didwatala as well sometime this week. Again, the original air date of the program live is Monday, March 23rd, 2020. For a live edition of CKON's Didwatala, my name is Reen Cook. Onigi Waha. Yo hane, ka yo ani yo hane, yo hane.